With 40 years in the landscaping industry, what are the biggest HR challenges that you've faced, and how have they evolved over time?
HR challenges. So I think I would start with settling for mediocrity. So in my experience, I've never regretted getting rid of somebody earlier. And if somebody just doesn't cut it, you end up just paying for it over and over and over again. So the biggest HR challenge is actually sometimes settling with employees that are suboptimal and then not changing that circumstance. So when we started to become hard on process and soft on people and just making sure we don't end up with mediocre people, we ended up doing way better. And sometimes it was a lot more work for us to pick up the slack. It was still eminently worth it every time. In 40 years, I can't look back and say, geez, I wish I would have kept that person longer, ever.
So it's pretty simple. Just make sure that you have A players on your team.
Yeah, pretty much. And I guess you got to find them, you got to recruit them, you got to keep them. So that's a whole other part of the game. However, it's exhausting to build a business with B players.
And how does this advice carry over to your consulting clients?
So it's interesting. They get excited a lot when they have a new opportunity. And I tell them that there's luck in everything you do. And so, if you flip a coin, heads or tails, and you say, okay, heads is a good outcome, and you flip it and it's tails, 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 you might think that you're doing everything wrong. It just might be bad luck. Conversely, you might get lucky 3 times in a row and end up with 3 amazing hires. So you're not always going to get good hires. And it'd be interesting to sort of check that statistic out with companies that have better hiring practices and to see what their recruitment retention rate is. And at the same time, throwing the prism of having A players on the team. So it's there's a bit of luck. There's some trial and error there, and it's about persistence and continual recruiting. I guess, like I said, if you don't look for talent all the time, then you're not going to get A players. That's luck is persistence to some degree, and so the companies that recruit continually are going to win that game for sure.
And what have some restructuring journeys looked like when you're in your own company or thinking of other companies that you've helped?
Yeah, so my first big restructuring, I'll call it an episode, was probably about 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago, where we had prima donnas that were very talented. They were entitled, they would only work so much, and the tail started wagging the dog. And so I was very frustrated by that, and so I went on a firing rampage. I think I fired maybe 15 of my staff in 1 year, and I sort of had a plan for it. And that has to happen. It's an ugly process. And you might even have to downsize if you're going to do it. It has to happen, though, because you just can't grow a healthy tree with rotten branches. I have to prune it back hard, if I could use the landscape metaphor.
And do you sometimes encounter business owners that don't have the heart to fire a lot of people that they need to?
Oh yeah, that's probably the it's funny. I did a seminar at CIMA, and I asked. I was talking about the balance sheet. And ironically, there is a human balance sheet, so there's assets and liabilities on the human side. There's no in between. So I asked how many people had liabilities on their human balance sheet, and I would say probably 45% of the class put up their hand that they did. And then, so the question is, are you going to do anything about it? How many people are going to actually doing about it now that I've made this, clearly obvious? And maybe 20% of that number put their hand up and were bold enough to actually make a bold move. So, nothing's going to change. It's probably the hardest part of business is people. And I can tell you, though, you can put up with slow frustration for a long time it certainly is going to be the biggest handicap to your getting better and improving your business.
So it's probably a big opportunity if companies just hire A players from the get-go. It probably saves them a lot of headaches and helps them get to where they need to go faster.
Yeah, and obviously a smaller company has a harder time with that because their bench isn't as deep. So when something happens, if I have 50 employees and I lose one of my best guys, it's not the end of the world. If I have 7 people and I lose my best guy, or 4 people and I lose my best guy, but the person's difficult, or all kinds of different things, then it's very difficult. And that's the dilemma. The smaller the company, the harder it is. Mm-hmm. Although having said that, I've dealt with big companies that are losing money because they've got people that are just essentially riding the food train essentially, and not doing anything to help that train move forward. So it's tough. It's by far the toughest thing that has to happen. I usually, when I do restructuring, and I haven't done one of those in a little while, did one maybe 2 years ago, where I think we let 7 or 8 people go after I was done, and they actually pay a lot of severance, which is an unusual thing, at least in the U.S. In Canada, you have to do that. And so the company actually didn't even get smaller. That was the irony of the thing, that these people were actually doing so little and so inefficient that it actually didn't make a difference. And there's a concept called addition by deletion, and so it leaves room for the other people to get better. And they pick up the slack very quickly because they couldn't stand the people that were pulling them down. So, quality people, curiosity to capacity. You can always teach experience, is the magic. And, the other thing too with HR is, I always say you won't know for 2 years whether somebody's awesome. You might think they're awesome their first year. It's the honeymoon period. It's 2 years that tells the tale. And you're hiring the family. So if they don't have their family in order, he or she is going to be a difficult employee. So you're hiring the family. Like at the end of the day, you want solid people with solid families, and your life is just way easier. Hey, I hope you liked the video. Videos like this help entrepreneurs make those hard choices. Hopefully they're inspirational, and they'll get leaders to step up and do the right thing. Doing the right thing's tough. We're there to help you. We've been through this journey for 40 years in our own businesses, and we know what it's like. So if you need help, click the link below, and we'd love to get in touch with you.